Today I'm making a super easy and quick marbled bundt cake. For that you need a splash of vanilla, 250 grams of softened or room temperature butter, 175 grams of sugar, a pinch of salt, 4 eggs, about half a tablespoon of baking powder, 350 grams of all-purpose flour, and 25 grams of cocoa powder, as well as 250 milliliters of milk. The first thing we're going to do is preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius. The first thing we're going to do is whisk together the butter, half the sugar, salt, and the vanilla until it's really light and frothy. And while that's happening, we're going to separate our eggs. Your butter should look something like this, nice and fluffy, almost doubled in size and really light in color as well. So now that we've separated our eggs, we're going to whisk up the egg whites with the rest of the sugar. And to the butter, we're going to slowly add our egg yolks. Eggs and the butter are all done whisking. I'm going to sift together the flour and the baking powder. I'm going to switch the attachment on the KitchenAid to this one, and now I'm going to alternate between the milk and the flour and let that all come to a nice dough. Now that we've incorporated all the dry ingredients, we're going to slowly fold in all of our stiff egg whites. Now that I've folded in all the egg whites, I'm going to split this into 2 bowls, one of which we're going to add the cocoa powder to make it a chocolate color, and the other one to make it the vanilla. To fill the cakes, I'm going to be using a Bundt tin. I'm going to be using one roughly this size. This one's made out of metal, but you can just as easily use one made out of silicone, I believe. It makes it easier to remove it at the end, but this one's just a little too big. To make sure the cake doesn't stick to the actual pan, I'm going to add a tiny bit of oil. By using a paper towel, I'm just going to move this around to make sure everything is covered. You can just as easily use butter. Now I'm just going to sprinkle in a little bit of flour. You can also use breadcrumbs if you want. I'm just going to move this around to try and get everything to be covered in a really thin layer of flour. This is what it will look like in the end, and now we're just going to fill it. First by adding in all of the light dough and then the chocolate dough on top. Now to make this a marbled cake, I'm going to use a knife and just kind of swirl it around inside of the cake. Because if we leave it like this, it'll just be vanilla at the top and the chocolate on the bottom, which is not what we want. There, now I'm just going to smooth it out and then pop it in the oven for 50 to 60 minutes. To decorate the finished marble cake, you could do a couple things. You could either just dust with powdered sugar and call it a day, or make a quick icing with powdered sugar and milk, or lemon juice if you want it to be more sour, or you can coat it with chocolate, which is what I'm going to do. For that, you just need 1 or 2 handfuls of chocolate chips, 1 or 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and we're just going to heat this over a water bath until it's all nice and melted. The cake is cooled down now, so I'm going to attempt to remove it from the tin and then decorate it. To decorate it, I'm just going to use my melted chocolate and use one of these brushes to just brush it all over the outside as well as the inside. And if you like, you can use sprinkles on top at the end as well.